This is how Stephen Curry responded to these trash talkers. Before Game 6 of the 2019 Western Conference Semifinals, one of the most infamous stories to come out of the Warriors-Rockets rivalry took place when Chris Paul reportedly kicked Stephen Curry off the Rockets' practice court during shoot-around. The move was seen as a psychological tactic, an attempt by Paul to rattle the two-time MVP and establish Houston's home court dominance before a do-or-die elimination game. But instead of shaking Curry, it only fueled him, and when the lights came on in Game 6, Steph delivered one of the defining performances of his playoff career. After being held scoreless in the first half, he erupted for 33 points in the second half and 23 in the fourth quarter, including dagger threes and clutch finishes at the rim that silenced the Toyota Center crowd and buried the Rockets' hopes. The Warriors, already without Kevin Durant due to injury, needed every ounce of Curry's brilliance, and he responded with a flurry that reminded everyone why he's called the greatest shooter alive. By the final buzzer, Golden State had closed out the series on Houston's floor, and Chris Paul's pregame stunt had completely backfired, becoming part of NBA trash talk lore. What was meant to intimidate ended up inspiring, and Curry showed that disrespect only sharpens his competitive edge. It's one of the many examples in his career where trash talk or petty gestures aimed his way have led to an avalanche of buckets, and Paul learned firsthand that when you poke the chef, you usually get burned. Back in 2020, Damian Lillard made headlines when he publicly questioned whether Stephen Curry could still dominate games without the luxury of the Warriors' all-star supporting cast, a comment that many interpreted as subtle shade at the two-time MVP. Curry clearly took note, because in their very first matchup after that interview, he delivered one of the greatest individual performances of his career and one of the most iconic nights in Warriors history. With Golden State still reeling from injuries and relying on a young, inexperienced roster, Curry shouldered the entire offensive load against Lillard's Portland Trailblazers and exploded for a career-high 62 points, showcasing his full offensive arsenal. He attacked the rim relentlessly, knocked down deep shots, and got to the free throw line at will, controlling every possession and putting on a masterclass in shot-making. The Warriors fed off his energy, turning what could have been a statement win for Portland into a definitive reminder that Curry didn't need a super team around him to dominate. Golden State pulled away with a 15-point victory, but the real story was that Curry silenced any doubts about his ability to carry a team, even against another elite point guard. That 62-point outburst still stands as his career high to this day, and it doubled as both a response to Lillard's comments and a warning to the rest of the league. Even when questioned, disrespected, or underestimated, Steph Curry has the ability to answer in the loudest way possible on the scoreboard. In Game 1 of the 2022 Western Conference Semifinals, the Warriors had just edged out a tight win over the Memphis Grizzlies, and instead of walking straight off the court, Ja Morant and Jaren Jackson Jr. had some words for Stephen Curry. Morant looked at him and told him it was going to be fun, while Jackson Jr., full of adrenaline after a big scoring night, grinned and asked Curry if he really loved this kind of battle. Rather than brushing them off or firing back with hostility, Curry walked over with a smile and leaned into the exchange, shouting back, "Fun as hell, fellas, come on," as if to welcome the challenge. When Jackson doubled down with, "You love this, huh?" Curry didn't hesitate and answered with an emphatic "absolutely," showing he wasn't fazed in the slightest. That response captured Curry's approach to trash talk perfectly. He doesn't get dragged into anger, he turns it into joy and confidence, using it to remind his opponents that he thrives on the biggest stages. By reframing their trash talk as something he embraced, he subtly flipped the psychological edge back on the young Grizz, signaling that he had been there before and wasn't going anywhere. It was a reminder that while his opponents might try to rattle him with competitive fire, Curry's at his most dangerous when the stakes are high and the back and forth is loud. The Warriors would go on to win the series in 6 games, and that brief exchange served as a glimpse into why Curry remains so hard to unnerve, no matter who's talking. When the Warriors faced the Celtics in the 2022 NBA Finals, Boston's home crowd tried everything to get under Stephen Curry's skin, unleashing brutal chants and even targeting his family with jokes. One of the most infamous came in Game 3 at TD Garden when fans held up signs and chanted about Ayesha can't cook, mocking his wife's cooking show in an attempt to distract him. Instead of letting it throw him off, Curry turned it into fuel, responding with one of the greatest finals performances of his career just 2 nights later in Game 4. With Golden State's season essentially on the line, Curry dropped 43 points and 10 rebounds, drilling clutch threes in the fourth quarter, and silencing a crowd that had spent days taunting him. Every time Boston tried to rattle him, he answered with another dagger, at one point yelling in celebration and pounding his chest as if to remind everyone whose stage it really was. The Ayesha can't cook chant quickly became a running joke that backfired, because after the Warriors secured a championship in Game 6, Ayesha posted her own clapback online, tweeting, "Steph can cook." Curry himself called out the disrespect, saying he heard everything the crowd was saying, but that he thrived on that energy because he was unshakable under the bright lights. In the end, what was meant to undermine him and his family became part of the narrative of his 4th title and his first Finals MVP, as Curry responded the only way he knows how, with unforgettable dominance between the lines. In a 2017 regular season matchup between the Warriors and the Celtics, rookie Jaylen Brown was eager to make his mark and started firing chirps at Stephen Curry, trying to test the 2-time MVP early in the game. Brown's energy and trash talk reflected his confidence as a newcomer, and he wasn't shy about trying to get under Curry's skin, stepping up in his defensive stance and calling attention to his own presence on the court. Curry, ever the seasoned competitor, responded immediately with his own verbal jab, matching Brown's energy while maintaining a playful yet assertive tone. After sinking a deep 3, Curry went a step further, using a hand signal to motion that Brown was the one talking, subtly calling him out while saying, "I own you." Rather than shutting Brown down cold, Curry's playful engagement gave the young guard a taste of the competitive fire he would face nightly in the NBA. By combining performance with light trash talk, Curry created a moment that was as much about schooling a rookie in the league etiquette as it was about asserting his own presence. That exchange ended with Curry firmly in control, but it also symbolically welcomed Jaylen Brown to the league, showing him what it looks like to compete at the highest level while keeping your composure and confidence intact. Stephen Curry is the undisputed master when it comes to responding to trash talk because he combines unmatched skill, composure, and intelligence in every encounter. Whether it's a young rookie like Jaylen Brown chirping on his first matchup, a fellow star like Damian Lillard questioning his ability to carry a team, or a hostile crowd mocking his family in Boston, Curry consistently turns disrespect into motivation. He rarely engages in long verbal battles, instead letting his performance speak for himself, whether that's dropping a career-high 62 points, igniting a fourth-quarter flurry, or sinking clutch threes under immense pressure. When he does respond verbally, it's always concise, witty, and perfectly timed, adding psychological pressure without escalating conflict. Curry also uses subtle gestures, hand signals, pointing, or ear cupping to assert dominance while maintaining control of the moment. His ability to stay calm, focus on the game, and use trash talk as fuel demonstrates a rare combination of mental toughness and self-confidence. Even the most aggressive or audacious opponents, from Chris Paul to Kevin Porter Jr., have learned that trying to rattle Curry usually backfires spectacularly. Ultimately, Curry's responses, whether on the scoreboard, in gestures, or with a single line, cement him as the GOAT of trash talk rebuttals, showing that the best way to answer disrespect is with excellence and poise.